Do you know my name? Progress.
Yeah.
And I'm overthink progress. I work for Media Matters. Here we go.
Do you even know my name? Hey guys, what's going on? Kyle Krieger here, and today I have a guest with me. His name's Carlos.
Hi.
Why am I singing?
I don't know. It's beautiful though.
Thank you, thank you.
It was a Cher impersonation.
Okay.
A really, really bad Cher impersonation.
You're a bonkers. Carlos is here. He works at Media Matters in DC. We're gonna talk today about body image, white ideals, and how bullshit they are.
I'm pumped.
I'm thrilled.
Long overdue.
I didn't even do my hair today for you, so.
We're accepting our natural beauty.
What or who, if anything, informed you of your body image ideals and what your body should look like from a young age?
Most of us get our ideas about what we're supposed to look like through storytelling, and that happens in a bunch of different ways, I think. TV, movies, the stories that we see in our social circles around us. When you think of what a hero or a main character looks like, you probably have a pretty specific image of it. It's probably a white dude, and it's probably a white dude who's like pretty in shape and pretty masculine and pretty straight acting. Especially if you're gay, most of the stories you're seeing on TV or even in cartoons are about straight men who are usually white and act a certain way.
I tried for so long to be so masculine and tried to like just hide gayness, and I was an athlete, so I didn't want anyone to know, and of course everyone knew because I was always just like this. Yeah, and I just worked so hard to be straight acting.
For sure, I think it's a universal experience, the idea of I have to hide by doing this one thing, and if I perform it really well, I'll win, and then everyone failing at performing it, or for me too, failing badly at performing straight. Everyone being like, something's off about that one kid. And I think it's never as overt as anyone ever telling you as a kid, you're supposed to look like this, but I think if you're bombarded with just one particular kind of story, as a human, you just think, okay, that is the default, that is how it's supposed to look like, and then you naturally compare yourself against that default, which at that point you think, this is just true for everyone, and usually as a kid, you're like not smart enough to be like, oh, this is bullshit, like this is a story that's getting told that I could choose to accept or walk away from, and you just kind of accept it naturally.
How does this affect you as a gay man?
I think for most of us, our first experience with like gay intimacy, looking at gayness as a thing that exists, probably through porn by ourselves. Pornography has like a very specific way of talking about gayness and gay sex and gay intimacy, so it is almost certainly white men. I'm sure that if you open SeanCody.com, you will see two white guys on the front with no body hair, young looking. And the sex itself, the like performance of intimacy, is extremely transactional, not emotional or vulnerable or soft, which makes sense for porn. If you are a young queer kid who's watching that, and that's your only exposure to gay storytelling, it's very easy to think, oh, this is what sex and attractiveness and intimacy and gayness look like, that this is what being queer means, and that's an extremely limiting and highly unrealistic and unsustainable way of understanding and performing and engaging in queerness. But if you're a queer kid, that's like all you've got for the first couple of years of your life.
When I was like a teenager, and I hadn't gone through puberty yet, my like genitals weren't fully growing? What's the word?
Was that the motion you were gonna use for You should see a doctor. Puberty!
What if
you wanted to bring this up, not me. You have to stick the landing on this bit.
I'm beat red.
What were you saying about your dick?
I would look at porn and I would just be so nervous that I wasn't gonna look like that, right? That my penis wasn't gonna look like that it wasn't gonna work like that, that having a penis that was like, God, some of those are like 10 inches. Like, what will they say? What will my partners think of me if I don't look like this? You constantly feel like you'll never be good enough. Right? And you internalize all of that, and so much fear about sex in general, and also gay sex, and not knowing if you're gay or what that is or how to even do it or whatever.
Because like the feeling of being queer in a world that doesn't love queers, it gets you very used to internalizing the practice of something's wrong, something's wrong. It's like so deeply ingrained that there's not a part of your brain yet, especially as a young queer kid, that is critical about it and can watch it and be like, this might be bullshit. This might not be right. This might not be true for me. And I know, for example, if I open my Instagram search bar and it like wants to recommend accounts to me, 90% of them are gonna be white men who are shirtless and like have these incredible bodies.
Aren't those guys the worst?
I mean, it's true that there is a huge market for that kind of thing. And if you look at even gay storytelling, if you look at like the stuff that we think of as being gay culture or gay TV, it does prioritize a specific version of gayness, and you get so used to it that it kind of becomes background noise, and you don't think that you're internalizing it as true But you do have this moment, like every time you're about to take your shirt off, every time you're about to have sex, you're like, fuck, I don't look like that.
Yeah.
Is there a standard that I am not meeting? Is there a default or an ideal that I'm not living up to? And that's just a thing that, as queer people, but I think as humans, we have to like constantly have to negotiate and talk ourselves down from that ledge of something is deeply wrong with me in like an intrinsic level.
I pretty much fit that.
You're the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
You're the extremely toned elephant in the room.
And even so, even though I post photos on Instagram shirtless and I, may fit that ideal, no matter what, even when I'm posting, I still don't feel good enough. Like I still internalize all of that shame and I still feel like I'm not good enough.
The thing that is static, the thing that is inside of you is the feeling of I'm not enough, and that feeling is divorced from the reality of what you look like on any given day. As a queer person, and also even within queer spaces, I am also inadequate. There's something fundamental that is broken or wrong, and your whole life's work is to try to fix the thing that's wrong.
So buckle in. And what about for someone who identifies as a person of color?
When we talk about beauty ideals or beauty standards, the reality is that those are almost always racialized. So it's not just that you have to be fit or in shape, but you have to look a certain way that typically mirrors or follows the white ideal. There's this feeling of, oh, something is off, something is different, I do not look like that. And then your first gut, if you've already internalized this idea of there's something wrong, is I have to fix it. That you experience difference and your reaction is, this is something for me to work on. This is the thing for me to power through. I think for any queer person of color, it's like this incredible additional amount of work that you have to do to feel like you're okay in those spaces, and you end up never really feeling like you're okay in those spaces.
How does someone that looks like you internalize white ideals?
All the time.
Bitches!
Doing it. I had a bunch of experiences growing up where I like aggressively tried to combat or hide things about my identity that I felt didn't match. But all this like little stuff that at first was not noticeable, and then once it became gay, but experienced gayness in a public sense, I was like, oh shit, this stuff is different. It's not past tense. Like sitting in this chair, there's still a part of my brain that like sees myself on camera and it's like, you're very hairy, you look different. It's a thing you have to grapple with, and it's a thing you have to accept that you're grappling with, and also go easy with yourself for grappling with. And part of the work as a queer person of color is to be like, okay, this is the thing that is happening. I have to stop beating myself up about it and figure out how to be more healthy or constructive about engaging in this like shameful part of my head in a way that doesn't cause me to always be mad at myself or constantly beating myself up.
Yeah, because who wants to live a life like that?
It's too much work. It's exhausting.
It's so much work. So can you give us some insight about how you would deal or tackle these thoughts and issues?
Tips that I've found helpful for me. Any social media stuff that you're taking in, or any ads or art that you're consuming that makes you feel inadequate, even if it's like really attractive white guy on Instagram taking shirtless pictures, if your reaction to that is something is wrong with me, I don't look like that, I'm a disappointment, you can cut that shit out. Like you don't owe anybody your attention or adoration in that way. Remember that the war that you are fighting against your own body is a losing war. But you're going to inevitably get defeated by time and age. Like no matter what you do and no matter how mean you are to yourself, your hair is gonna start thinning, your hair is gonna fall out, your skin will start sagging, your muscles will atrophy. It actually has nothing to do with you as a person. Like it says zero about who you are as a human that you give in to time at some point. And it's very liberating to accept that is actually not your war to fight, that like there's nothing to do about that. If you're interacting with people that make you feel different or like you're a novelty, or there's something weird or off or that doesn't meet a standard to you, fuck those people. Like, and if someone treats you as like some essentialized, reductive version of your identity, or is like, oh, this is Carlos, my Hispanic friend, be like, get the fuck out. There's so much more to me than that, and you don't deserve to be treated by that, even by people who like you. Yeah. Especially if you're about to have sex with somebody, you're about to engage. But when I think about like the best sex I've ever had, or like the most attractive person I've ever been attracted to, and stuff that like is intoxicatingly sexy, is not shit like abs or looking like a white beauty or looking like a Sean Cody model. It's like the shit that makes them human. It's like seeing their face when they're not trying to be cute and being like, oh, you are actually super into it. The shit that is imperfect about each of us, the stuff like love handles or hair on your shoulders, you're like, oh, you're a living, breathing person, and that is on its own very attractive and sexy.
Like it's nice to be physically attracted to them, but it really
fades so
it
fast
does.
in my experience.
It's same thing in a relationship. It can only last for like a week or two, and then if you have nothing behind that, then like bye, girl.
Someone is freaking out about how they look and having a certain appearance, the harder it is to have like the human connection part. If the person, you can tell the person's like really in their head about being like, I look so good right now. You're like, I don't want, it's not fun. Like, I don't feel like you're a human being that I'm having sex with. It feels like I'm banging a mannequin, which is the name of my first album. The bottom line is, go easy on yourself.
Yeah, totally.
It's not worth it. There's nothing for you to win being an asshole to yourself.
Yeah. So thanks so much for tuning in today, and I hope this video was helpful, and we love you, and you're amazing. And Carlos, thank you for coming.
Of course. Remember to pick up Kenji Yoshino's covering and also to download Bangin' Mannequins on or Spotify.
And take care of yourself. Bye, guys.
Bye.